Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I seen this a couple days ago and I wanted to talk about it before tomorrow hits, 24 hours later. A large YouTube channel known as Gilva Sunner will actually be removed from the internets. Now for those of you who don't know, Gilva Sunner, not to be confused with Silva Gunner, is an actual channel that uploads original soundtracks for video games. Now you might be wondering, oh, why would they be shutting down after they upload, video game soundtracks? Well, if you take one cursory glance and look at some of the names: Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario 64. The astute people in the audience might be wondering why Keanu Reeves, dressed up as John Wick, hasn't shown up to this person's house and put 2 in the head and 1 in the butthole. Well, I'm gonna be real with you, okay? I was surprised too. Nintendo's legal team is hornier than people in high school, because let me tell you right now, their legal team is spending every minute, every hour of every day finding the slightest thing that they can copyright claim, ceasing and desisting it, and taking people to lawsuits and jails. I swear to God, this is the same company that if they could find a way to shut down their games from Twitch, they absolutely would, in my opinion. I feel like Nintendo would have my balls, my testicles surgically removed for emulating video games. You know, in certain videos where I talk about the emulator handheld devices, I love to talk about these emulator handheld systems. However, I never show you Nintendo footage emulating on them. You want to know why that is? You want to know why I have to blur the screen? That's because I'm trying to play Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess on this thing. Now, I emulated it because there's no goddamn way I'm buying a GameCube or a Wii or digging out the old Wii U. But I feel like if I showed you that, I almost feel like I'm subject to a DMCA strike in some capacity. Now, to understand, let's just get things out of the way. This channel uploaded this official soundtrack stuff and basically just shared it around, okay? So people would jump onto these channels and listen to just soundtracks from various Nintendo games. Because hey, we like playing Nintendo games and some of them have banger fucking music, which is, something that most people will jump into. But, of course, in the last week or two, this channel has received 3,500 strikes, okay? 3,500 copyright blocks, so to speak. Hi, everyone. After the 1,300 copyright blocks from Nintendo a few days ago, I'd be hyperventilating if I received that many on my channel. The YouTube channel received another 2,200 blocks today, with likely many more to follow. So maybe they might go over 9,000. I don't know. The lawyers are getting paid well today. After thinking about this a lot for the past few days, I've decided at this point it's not really worth it to keep the channel up for any longer, and will therefore delete the Gilva Sunner YouTube channel, or what's left of it, this coming Friday. So effectively, he is himself taking the dog out to a sunset and putting one down an old yeller. So again, Nintendo's the same company that if you decide to take any of their intellectual property, make fan games out of it, you actually will not get away with it. This is a Reddit post that contains a video that I have to also blur out. Not because I want to, it's because Nintendo is on their way to shut this video down as hard as they can. Somebody basically took some Pokemon characters, dropped them into an open world, put some goddamn Car 98Ks, and now you're actually hunting Pokemon like it's Cabela's Big Game Hunt. Of course, Nintendo doesn't really like it when you take a Spaz 12 to Pikachu's cute little face. That's not okay. And even if it's a fan game, you're getting shut down. Now, before people say, but Muda, the fair use. So I'm going to kind of nip the fair use argument in the ass. If you take an image of Pikachu and just drop it in without making it an explicit parody, you're going to get hit by legal blocks. It's why there's adult videos of Pokemon that are still up, because they never use the name Pokemon, because they never use the name Pikachu, because they never dick down an actual Rattata, okay? It's not how it works. Same with a lot of their fan-made games. You'll have legal teams who go out and just cease and desist you, and because the average person is getting sued by Japanese megacorps, most people, almost 100% of them, will back down. You might have one crazy out there, but most people will step down. So yeah, in short, this channel is actually getting shut down, not because of just Nintendo, but because Japanese companies are a little bit behind the times. Usually when it comes to gaming, or really anything when it comes out of Japanese media, they're the only peoples that are still sitting in such an archaic world that they gotta shut down every single bit of what they believe to be copyright infringement out. Even though, in certain cases like this, when you have Nintendo stuff spread around the world, the internet like this, it's oftentimes a net positive to the company. They just cannot stand the fact that there's just a slight bit of technical copyright infringement happening, even if nobody's actually being hurt in the process. So this is again something that Nintendo's been doing for years, and again, I don't know why anybody's actually surprised. The only reason Nintendo gets away with this is because they're like the Disney of like Japan. Effectively, they have all of our nostalgia in a goddamn vice grip, and with that nostalgia, they have the fervent largest supporter of people out there that frankly let Nintendo get away with some of the biggest bullshit in gaming, like just in the gaming circle in general. No matter how much you criticize Nintendo, there's always the one fucking dude with the Yoshi cap coming around, but actually, it's within Nintendo's right. You know, just because it's within Nintendo's right doesn't exactly mean that, you know, we should be okay with it. Frankly, what's happening over here is the end of an era. And, you know, something beyond, you know, OSTs, which, frankly, if a channel's shutting down for that reason alone, it's not the end of the world. There'll always be like 900 other channels uploading the same OSTs on their stuff. But what you kind of miss out on are some of the actual kick-ass comment sections. For instance, in this one title, Spectacular Finale Paper Mario Sticker Superstar Extended HD Re-Upload, one might think, oh shit, people came here to listen to Paper Mario Sticker Star music, when in reality they came down to witness the epic battle between users Lunar, Dave, and Aramaru. Okay, these three people fought in the epic comment section. This shit was like the Gulf War for YouTube, okay? It lasted a long goddamn time. Some will consider it to be the 1980s, Soviet invasion of Afghanistan type shit. Like, this is the Vietnam, Afghan, whatever you want to call it, of YouTube. People sat in here and ran a war between each other. And this is one of the many stories that you come across in comment sections like this. To be honest with you, some of these comment sections are kind of like forum thread boards for that specific game in general, which, again, losing a channel in these comments is kind of like losing a bit of gamer history, a bit of YouTuber history, but it is what it is. So like yesterday I made a video where I talked about Bloodborne on the PlayStation 1, and I basically sat down and played Bloodborne made by a fan in the style of a PlayStation 1 game. Now Sony did not shut this project down or give it a cease and desist, despite this project existing in the public eye for quite some time. You wanna know why that is? That's because this little game that was made by a fan wasn't cannibalizing on the sales of Bloodborne. If anything, this game's popularity probably inspired somebody to go buy a PlayStation 4 on the cheap, maybe even a PlayStation 5, or somebody who owns those systems. They might have bought the system and even Bloodborne alongside with it, basically inviting them to join the Sony ecosystem and then also spend more money on Sony games in the future. This is something that even Microsoft as well will constantly never really jump into, unless of course you're outright distributing or pirating their video games. If you're using their stuff to promote their products, they don't care. It's why machinimas like RB and the Chief and Red vs. Blue were so popular. Microsoft didn't step in. They realized, wow, okay, this isn't cannibalizing our sales. It's not outlandish material making us look bad in the public perception. Let's just let it go, and suddenly people are going to look at us more favorably. Why Nintendo does not see this yet is surprising. But then again, they're the nostalgia lords of the gaming community, and maybe that's just enough for them. Again, such is the end of the era. Nintendo frankly does not give any shits about this situation, and will they ever truly give a shit? No. One thing that also really gets to me is, regardless of like them shutting down channels like this, why has Nintendo not made it easier to listen to their music? Why is there no like subscription or just a platform in general? It doesn't even have to be a sub-based one, where I can go in and listen to specific tracks from Nintendo Music. Because if it's one thing about video game music, there are some banger soundtracks, okay? You play some Final Fantasy X, you can't tell me Wandering Flame isn't like top 10 video game soundtrack moments ever in history right there. Video game music is generally really awesome, and Nintendo takes down a whole bunch of it without giving anybody a legal, normal recourse into listening to this music, other than loading up that specific game, going to that specific location, and hearing it in that specific way. And of course, I understand the legalities of hosting your own platform. Nintendo has to find a way to distribute money between a shit ton of composers, and nobody wants them to go down the route of Spotify, where they basically hand out like crumbs, if that even, to all of their musicians. Now again, none of this is like brand new for Gilva. I think he's just seen this throughout time anyways. A year ago, he even posted, "Hey all, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, Nintendo of Japan has just blocked all Mario Kart Wii." A year ago, they blocked Mario Kart Wii. Who the fuck is playing Mario Kart Wii? I mean, I know people are playing it, but god, chill out with blocking blocking that soundtrack. Ocarina of Time, I guess I can understand it. People still jack off to this game. Mario 64, don't get me started. Soundtrack uploads from the channel. They could have claimed and monetized the uploads, but they chose to outright block everything. And that's true. Nintendo has the opportunity to just straight up claim your video and make money off of it that way. Yet they still remove it. They don't even just block it from Japan. They're trying to block it internationally, okay? It's literally corporate Japan having a field day shutting down anything that they logically can. And honestly, I feel like at some point, it's really not even the game developers, the publisher side of things, even the composers who care about this. It's just Nintendo of Japan has hired one of the most horniest legal firms in the goddamn planet, and frankly, they do not care. They get paid by the goddamn minute, and if they can shut down and test it, if they can remove my balls for emulating a fucking game, you bet your ass I'd be walking around nutless my entire life if given myself over to a Japanese Nintendo legal team. That's what would happen, okay? So frankly, this is the reality of the situation. This is why you've seen over 1,000 copyright blocks sent at once, okay? En masse. Normal YouTubers would freak out, but I guess Nintendo YouTubers have gotten so used to the fisting that frankly it's going to take a lot more to really tickle that butthole at this point, okay? That rectum has been ruined. This is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.